talk about leadership as being about managing yourself, managing your network of relationships, managing all those relationships with people over whom you have no formal authority, but you're deeply dependent on to get your job done. And even for a CEO, there are lots of constituencies they're deeply dependent on to get their job done over whom they have no formal authority. And then finally, managing your team, just about managing relationships with those people who report to you. So one of the things I want to say, I did it that way in part because, again, if you're leading change or you're leading innovation, those three imperatives have to be met. What do you do about yourself and how you lead, using yourself as an instrument to get things done? What do you need to do about that network? And we see that many CEOs, for instance, are building out the ecosystems and trying to proactively shape partnerships in a different way out in their environment because they can't go alone. And finally, they have to think about how they lead their team, those people over whom they do have formal authority or their own organization. But there, what you see is leaders understand that you don't really want to rely on your formal authority as a way of getting people to do what you need them to do, because you want people to be committed. It's not about controlling them. It's about getting them to be committed to fulfill that purpose. So consequently, what I would say to those leaders is, yes, you have vision, but you know what? Make sure when you are developing that vision, and also when you're trying to get it implemented, that you include the various parties who you want to follow you. You need to hear their voices and get their input as you're developing that vision. It can't simply be yours. And maybe it can't simply be about your own organization. Again, it may be that you need to talk to your stakeholders out there in your ecosystem to see what they would say about that vision. So I think the way you bring them together is, and I think good leaders always did this, or great leaders did, the vision is not yours alone. The vision is something you develop because you're really collecting information from all around you and taking that in to say, this is where I think we should go. And when you do it in that way, people are going to be much more likely to buy into it and want to go there. And when we talk about leadership, we are thinking about how can I use myself, everything that I know, who I am, etc., to help move the organization where it needs to go. And one of the things we see there, of course, is we're trying to match our intent with our impact. One of the other things we really know about leadership is basically about an emotional connection. And when you are a leader, what you need to think about is, what is the experience I'm creating for other people? How do people experience me? And how do people experience themselves when they are with me? So if people experience themselves as only followers, if you will, and not people who are supposed to have ideas, and I'm saying this in a very extreme way, then guess what? I'm going to follow. If in fact, there are times I should follow, but you also want me to understand the why, the purpose of the work, etc., and I have my own imagination about that, and I have my own experience and perspective, and there's a way for me to share that, then you, if you're the instrument, if you're the leader, you need to be receptive, you need to be curious about those points of view. So yes, using yourself as an instrument is about understanding that you're trying to create an experience for people who are with you. And you want the experience they have of you and you have of them is to be built on a sense of mutual trust, which is why we can't simply rely on formal authority, right? You want people to feel like, I can trust Linda's character, I can trust Linda's competence, and Linda trusts my character and my competence. She knows I'm trying to do the right thing, and she knows, I'm trying to make sure I know what the right thing to do is. And trying is the word here, because we're all always stretching ourselves and maybe a little bit behind and trying to catch up in the world that we currently live in, which is evolving the way it is.